that we know that actually went into space. Captain Kirk. Of course, Captain Kirk has been into space. I mean, he was on a 5-year mission to boldly go where no man has gone before. Well, he actually went into space. And he had a very interesting and profound experience. And it's connected to what we'll be talking about. But I'd like us to watch his personal testimony about his experience.
We are super excited. We're so excited about our next guest. None other than, you know him, Star Trek actor and now real space traveler, William Shatner. This Hollywood legend was part of a 4-member crew that blasted to the edge of space yesterday on a rocket from Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin. At 90, he's the oldest person to go to space. And I was so touched yesterday, I know we all were. He got very emotional when he talked about the experience after landing back on Earth. Take a listen.
What you've given me is the most profound experience I should have. I'm so filled with emotion about what just happened. It's extraordinary. I hope I never recover from this. I hope that I can.
William Shatner joins us now. Good morning to you and congratulations and bravo to you, William Shatner. I have to tell you, it was magical, honestly. It was magical watching you. We were all sitting here at the table watching you in real time, and your description of what you experienced and how you were feeling, it choked a lot of people up. And I'm wondering, I know you said yesterday you're still processing all of it, but what made you so emotional specifically?
It's almost to describe, to specifically tell you exactly what it was so generalized. And the reason I felt that was because before going, I had thought, how will I describe what I see? And I had prepared plans, like a word that maybe somebody else hadn't used. I've got an album out there called Bill right now with a song in it, So Far From the Moon, another occasion. So I was thinking, how can I describe it? And what happened was, I'm looking out the window, and there, it turns out that nobody told me about it. I mean, the limitation. There's about a 50-mile skin that the Earth has of air. And the air reflects the light and it turns blue, so we see a blue sky. We grow up and live and die, blue sky, right? The spaceship, and I like to call it that, punched through that at 2,500 miles an hour, 50 miles, 2,500 miles an hour. So within a count of 2 or 3, it goes from blue, bang, and suddenly it's black. And you see this black, and that's space and eternity and the mystery of the cosmos, but it's black and it's death and just down there is the blue. You're at the top of the blue looking down on the Earth, and you get these cliches, it's so fragile, it's all of that. But this little blue covering, and what is there is working, and what is there is nourishing. It was dramatized again, the very cliches we hear again and again. We're so fragile. We hang by a string. We hang by the pollution we're doing. We're in the beginning of a terrible thing that's going to happen to the world unless we do something immediate
about it. William, you know what? Yesterday you had told us, or before you went, you said you were nervous and you were afraid. And I was wondering what you were thinking when you were going up, because they had a couple of delays. What were you thinking at that moment? Were you ever, once you were on board, were you still afraid?
Oh my God. Oh, are you kidding? You're lying back there and you know that there's all this explosive material and it's safe. They've made this, Blue Origin has made it safe. I want to emphasize that. So it's safe, but it's one thing to say it's safe and it's another thinking, oh, I remember O-rings and I remember explosion.
Yes.
So you can be told it's safe, but the dread is there. And as an actor, I've had to deny emotions be in front of the camera and something terrible has happened in my personal life, I can't show that. So I developed a system of denial. And I had been denying how nervous I was until I'm lying down on the seat and things are fulminating beneath me. And I'm thinking, hey, wait a minute, I'm frightened. And then when all those things that they described would happen, but they don't tell you, they don't know. Because who's been in G forces of 5 and 6G forces? Who's been in weightlessness? How do you describe weightlessness? Being in it is totally different from any description you can have. You're floating, but you're floating. Your gut is floating. Your head is floating. Outside is you're immersed in things that are indescribable, and because people, the 600 people who've been there say, oh yeah, it's dark, and I'm telling you it's dark. I'm telling you it's dark. And that's
We believe you. We believe you.
I was so moved, and what I wanted, when I said I want to hold on to it, it's like a truth that suddenly comes to you, and you don't want to dissipate it, you don't want to lose it, you want to hold it for the rest of your life, tuck it somewhere, but there is something coming our way, folks, that we've got to avoid, and the only way to avoid it is to look at it. We need to clean our planet up now, or our grandchildren are going to be in terrible shape.
Well, William, if everybody, or a good portion of us, were able to have the experience that you are describing this morning, if it were more widespread, how do you think the world might be a different place?
Well, because it's so easy. What's coming our way, we all know this, what's coming our way is horrific. So it's easier to bury your head in the sand, oh, well, I'm not going to think about it. You have to think about it. And it's terrible to think about. It's terrible that they're building 20-foot walls in Miami in front of people's homes who spent millions of dollars for the view of the ocean. And they're erecting a 20-foot wall because the seas are rising. Half of Florida is going to be underwater. Do you realize half of Florida is going to be underwater in our children's lifetime?
Wow.
I mean, it's crazy.
I have to ask you this because I feel like you have a more profound answer to this question after what you have
I wish
experienced.
so. I would like to.
What is the meaning of life and death? Because I feel like you've seen both yesterday.
Life is to be a participant in this incredibly beautiful planet of ours. I was in Texas with the mountains and the clouds and the animals that live there, and it's beautiful, beautiful. That's life. Space with all its mystery and things to find, and the giant forces at work, and the expanding universe when it should be contracting. Everything is so mysterious, but it's unknown. It's known here. This is beautiful. That's far and full of fire and fury, and we don't know what it is. We know what it is right here.
You came back safely. We're so glad to see you.
Worldly concerns are pressing upon us now, though. We have to say goodbye, William. Thank you very much. I can think of a few politicians who may enjoy the view you're describing, might change their outlook on things.
Okay, I want to tell you a story before we continue. I remember back in 1997 or 98, I drove a van to the Blessing in Washington, D.C. at the stadium. The RFK Stadium. And I was in my van with a group of our members. I don't know, maybe some of you were actually there. I don't remember the details. But I remember we parked the van in the parking lot, we got out, we went to the Blessing and participated, came back to the van, and the battery was dead. The van was dead. I opened, I used the key, I unlocked the door, I tried to get in, turn the van on, and it wouldn't start. And so, fortunately, everybody was coming, there were other members there, someone had some jumper cables, we opened the hood, we attached the cables, and we tried to jump it, but it wouldn't do anything. So we left the cables on so that it would, make the battery come alive. And we waited for a while. And, as time went on, people disappeared, they went home, And we were left there. We spent 15, 20, 30 minutes making sure the battery was recharged. And then I went to turn the key. Nothing happened. Nothing. Not a sound, nothing. And it's nighttime. We're in the middle of the night. We're stuck. Okay, I'm going to spend how much money getting it towed, blah, blah. So I called my friend Bernard. And I said, Bernard, I'm really sorry, but I think you might have to drive out here and pick us up. And, we're in the van, and the van is dead. And he says, what happened? I said, we got in, we unlocked it, we got inside, the battery's dead, we tried to charge it, it's not doing anything, not making a sound. He said, okay, try this. Get out of the van and lock the doors, and then unlock the doors and get in the van and then try to start it. Okay, so I got out of the van and I unlocked the door with the key, got in, sat down, and the van started right up. Just like that. What had happened? Well, the van has a system of automatic security. And while the battery was on, and when we drove there, the security was turned on. But then the battery died. So then when I unlocked the door and we got into the van did not register that we had unlocked the door, and the security didn't turn off because the battery was dead. So even though we were inside and the battery was alive, the security was still turned on until I got out of the van and clicked the key and turned it off and got in. How valuable was that little bit of information? There was nothing broken. Nothing was wrong with the van. All we needed was the truth. That one little bit of truth. How the van functions. How the security system functions. I could have called someone. They could have taken the van to a place. The guy could have said, yeah, I'm sorry, your battery's done, or this is busted. Give me $1,000, I can fix it. Blah, blah, blah. He could have been he would have been lying. But the point I'm making is simply this. How valuable is the truth? Just for that was, very dramatic. We're stuck in the middle of the night in the parking lot in the RFK Stadium, with a bunch of our members. But just that information, that clear, simple understanding of how the electrical system of the van functions made all the difference in the world. So, what about understanding life and death? This is from a speech that Father gave in December 18th, 1998. And it's very interesting. I was, during the 3 days that we were at the Capitol Hill listening to Damien Dunkley explain this new line, I was sitting there and Tom McDivitt was sitting behind me. And after the 3-day workshop, I started talking with Tom McDivitt, and I was a little bit puzzled about some of the things we heard, and I mentioned to Tom McDivitt, I said, there's this incredible speech that Father gave about understanding life and death. And Tom turned to me and said, yeah, I was there. It was here in this room in December 18th. Father gave this speech to religious leaders, to Christians, Muslims, Jews. This was a public speech. This was Father's explanation. I have a copy of this speech, Understanding Life and Death. Before we talk about these words, these are not my words. Are these Reverend Moon's words? Who is Reverend Moon? Is Reverend Moon qualified to explain to us the truth about life and death, about God, about the earth, about spirit world? Who knows the truth? Well, I would guess that there are billions and billions and billions of people that know the truth because they're there. But why do I, when I give service, why am I always talking Father's words? Why Father's words? Because Father was the only one that I trust that demonstrated to me for 50 plus years that he is the one who sincerely and seriously and with all his heart and soul and commitment spent his entire life trying to teach us God's word and God's truth and to share with the world the truth about God. So when I hear Father's words and I hear Father's explanation, it means something to me. You know, when I got on the phone and Bernard says, oh, you know, all you have to do is this, this, and this, I could have said, oh, you're full of it. Couldn't be that simple. Click. Not even try. Of course, I'm going to try what he was trying to talk. Why? I'm desperate. I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. I'm in a van full of people. So he tells me to do this simple thing. But I know Bernard. Bernard's my friend. Bernard's smart. He knows about cars. Naturally, I trust him. I trust him enough to at least try. But I could have ignored his advice. I could have made a phone call and called some guy up to come give us a jump again. But the point is Bernard was telling me the truth. And all I had to do was listen to it. And by listening to it, it had a dramatic effect. I mean, dramatic. You know, William Shatner went into space. You know, the experience he had was a very spiritual experience. But it was presented to him because he had this profound experience with the earth and space, the real earth and the real space. So someday, this is Father's words. And this is only part of the speech. I know I have a time limit, so I'm just going to give a few points. Someday I too will die. When we are young, we don't think much about death, but we become increasingly serious about death as we grow older. This is because death is a gate through which we are inevitably destined to pass. But what happens after we die? Do you know why I'm talking about death? I talk about death in order to teach the meaning of life. Who really knows the value of life? It is not the person who is going all out to preserve his life. The only person who really knows about life is the one who goes into the valley of death, or who breaks through the atmosphere and goes into the nebula of nothingness. He confirms the meaning of life as he desperately cries out to heaven at the crossroads of life and death. Why do people fear death? It is because they do not know the purpose for which we are born. Those who do not know why we are born do not know why we die. Therefore, the first question philosophers ask are, what is life? Why are we born? If we think about it, we realize that when we die, we are reborn into the midst of God's love. Now, previous to this part, if you read this entire speech, Father's talking a lot about life and death and, the concepts from Korea, blah, blah. But here he narrows in. But in the human world, people cry out, oh no, I'm going to die. What am I to do? They make a big fuss. Do you think that God laughs, when we die? Or do you think God cries out, oh no, and is overwhelmed with sorrow? The truth is, he is happy. This is because the moment of the physical body's death is the moment we experience the joy of leaving the finite realm of love in order to enter the infinite realm of love. It is the moment of our second birth. Wow. That's so radical. Why are we on this earth? It's so limiting. I'm 70 years old. Before I turned 70, I had this incredible problem with my, what's it called? Sciatica. Oh man, the pain going down my leg. I started going to the chiropractor, blah, blah, blah. And we go to the senior center. We hang around with a bunch of senior people. Some of them are in their 90s. Captain Kirk was he's a 90-year-old man and went into space. I didn't realize that until I watched this. 90. That's 20 years older than I am. Think of 20 years of your life going from being born to being a 20-year-old. That much distance between where I'm at now and where Captain Kirk is. That's amazing. But the point is how incredible it is to have this understanding that we're all going to die. Nobody's getting out of this alive. We've known this since human beings have been existing. But the mystery of death, just like the mystery of space, the incredible immensity of it. The Father goes on. Then is God happier on the day we are born into the physical world, or at the moment we leave our physical body behind? At that moment, we are born a second time into the realm of the infinite expansion of love. We become His new children through death. Of course, God is happier at the second birth. I am telling you this because you need to know that you cannot have a relationship with God unless you are released from the fear of death. It makes God happy to watch and directly take part in our life. Consider how a baby is born and wets its diapers as it begins the process of growth. God is happy because as the child grows, the pulse of love that is in God's heart also grows. When God makes a face, babies imitate Him and make the same face. When God smiles, babies also smile. And when He is sad, they also are sad. This is how babies gradually grow to resemble God. As babies grow, they also begin to resemble their parents. From their parents, they learn language and the rules for daily life. Of course, all these things have their origin in God. So, all of us were parents. So, some of us were fathers. Happy Father's Day. But being a father is not the same as being one. Let's just be clear. No comparison in some sense of the word. The mother carrying this baby for 9 months, 10 months almost, in its womb, and then the baby's born. Who does the baby want to be with? Who does the baby get all its milk from and nourishment from? Its mom. I remember when as Sean started growing up, being a couple of months old and getting older, and Kiva the same way. I would come, there was some separation because sometimes I was in New York and Sharon was in California, and I was doing the 40-day workshops, and then after the 40 days I'd go visit. So maybe I didn't see Shauna for a month or something, and I come back, and I'm a stranger. And even picking her up to go out, she starts crying. She still wants to be with mommy, for a certain period of time. So, but parents love their children. And can the baby live without mother or father? You have the power of life and death over your children. Are there people following you around to make sure you do certain things a certain way? Make sure you get up in the middle of the night and you feed your child, or you do. No, you're alone. You and your husband or your spouse. I mean, when our children are first born, until they reach a certain age, they can't change their diapers, they can't get their own food, they can't do anything. 100% dependent on you for their life. And then even spiritually, even emotionally. We only see the physical thing, but the emotional things that are going on with that baby during that time. The fact that you're there comforting it, and it cries at night, you feel so bad. Oh, the baby's crying. What can I do? And you're trying to give love. I mean, this all came originally from God. This is the process of growth during our physical life. So after God has lived with us on earth and goes whoosh to the other side, what are we supposed to do? If we say, wait, God, I want to go with you, will He reply, who are you? I don't know you. Is He likely to leave us behind like that? Or will He want to take us with Him? Of course, He will want to take us with Him. But when God says, I can't take you with me now, I will take you with me after you've grown a little more. I want you to work a little bit more on your perfection. We can reply, well, we can't go now, but we are certain that there will come a time when we will be able to go. Then we can wait for that day. That's what we're doing here now. We're actually preparing ourselves, growing our hearts, our spirit self, waiting for that day. In our physical body, we are unable to follow God wherever He goes. It is only natural that we would aspire to resemble God. On His part, God also would want His sons and daughters to resemble Him. We must conclude then that God designed us to be born again into a body that enables us to resemble Him. God and human beings long for that eternal day when we can soar through the heavens together. The day we are born as beings who can take wing with God, the day we are born into that body, that is the day of our physical death. On that day, we cast off the physical body like an old coat. Then should we welcome death or fear death? The answer, of course, is that we should welcome death. Oh. What the? When was the last time you went to some kind of a church and they were explaining this in that kind of detail? And remember who Father's talking to. He's talking to world-level religious leaders. He's trying to tell them, this is the truth of God that you should know and you should be teaching people. This is the purpose of life. This is the three blessings, the four realms of heart, the three great kingships in the realm of the royal family, everything we say in the family pledge. Why am I here? Family. Family, family, family. Blessed central family. For what purpose then should we die? We should die for the sake of God's true love. That is the love whereby we seek to sacrifice ourselves for the benefit of others. We can conclude that the reason we cast off our physical body is so that we can participate in the realm of God's work of love. We die for the sake of the world of God's love. While on earth, we need to develop our character of love. Therefore, on earth, the thing we need most is love. What is an orphan? Why do we call a child who cannot receive love from a father or mother an orphan? It is because such a child lacks the love by which he or she can connect eternally with the spirit world. Absent love, we are lonely. That is why we feel sorry for a person who lives without a spouse. Death destroys our ability to breathe in the second stage and connects us with the nourishment of love. We eventually have no choice but to leave the physical body behind. We cannot see love, but our internal structure develops centering on the love of parents, of husband and wife, and of children. Just as there is a normal development for a child in its mother's womb, there is a normal course of development on earth. We follow it by living in accordance with the laws of God. We cannot do it by just living any way we want. This is a womb. I've said this before, but after hearing, Captain Kirk's testimony, how he was so profoundly affected, looking down on the earth, it's incredible. How vast space is. I mean, okay, I don't have much time, but I have to talk about this example. You're on a beach, and you reach down, and you pick up a handful of sand. And you open the handful of sand. How many granules of sand do you think are in your hand? 1,000? 2,000? 3,000 or 4,000? How many grains of sand are on that entire beach? How about, we're talking Myrtle Beach. What about Sunset Beach? What about Curry Beach? What about all the beaches on the East Coast? How many grains of sand? How many grains of sand on the beaches on the East Coast and the West Coast? What about all the beaches on the earth? How about the desert? How many grains of sand are in the desert? Scientists and astronomers tell us that the number of stars in the universe is greater than all the numbers of the particles of sand that are on the earth. How close are the particles of sand to each other? How close are the stars to each other? The closest star from our planet Earth, it takes 7 minutes for the light to travel to our Earth. The next closest star to our Earth, it takes 2 years at the speed of light for that light to reach the Earth. That's how far apart the stars are from each other. And yet they number more than all the grains of sand on the planet Earth. Well, where does that kind of vastness come from? And yet, there's one planet. One small blue planet. I'm reading this book, The Farm at the Center of the Universe. This is a book written by a person who wrote a book called The Privileged Planet. You know, this is, again, what did I do? I'll just go back to where I was. This is about Earth. You know, this is a story for teenagers. This is a wonderful book. It's a story about a boy who goes to live on the farm with his grandfather and grandmother. His grandfather was a scientist that used to teach at a school. And his uncle is also a scientist, but his uncle is more of an atheist who believes in evolution. But this particular grandfather, you know, through learning things on the farm and stuff, he learns how incredible the Earth really is. So it's a wonderful story. But the point I'm making, yeah, you go all the way back, is God created this, okay? God created this. And yet here we are on this one planet. But our time here is for one purpose. This is not the end, okay? This is the midway. This is the growing period. This is our temporary life. And the principle of creation teaches us that we have to learn to love each other. It's so simple. It was complicated because of the fall. Because of the fall of man, it became really complicated. Does God really exist or not? You know, how should I treat people? Oh, there is no life after death. You know, it's a dog-eat-dog world. Survival of the fittest. That's where the whole concept of evolution, right? Evolution is random mutation, and you know, if something is more powerful than something else, then it'll survive. You know, so you know, dog, you know, man, dog eat dog. But the truth of the principle, the fundamental teaching, Father's teaching about true parents, true family, becoming true parents, becoming true family. So I want to talk about this standard of goodness. Okay, this is from the Divine Principle book itself. Any standard of goodness set during the course of the providence of restoration is not absolute but relative. In any particular period of history, obedient compliance with the doctrines expounded by the prevailing authorities is considered good, while actions in opposition to them are considered evil. But the change of an era ushers in new authorities and doctrines, with new goals and new standards of good and evil. For the adherents of any religious tradition or school of thought, complying with the precepts of its doctrine or philosophy is good, while opposing them is evil. But whenever a doctrine or philosophy undergoes a change, its standards of good and evil will also change according to its new goals. Similarly, if an adherent converts to a different religion or school of thought, then naturally his goals and standards of good and evil will change accordingly. Conflicts and revolutions constantly plague human society, mainly because of the continual changes in the standard of good and evil, as people seek to fulfill divergent purposes. Yet, throughout the endless cycles of conflict and revolution in human history, people have been seeking the absolute goodness which their original mind desires. Conflicts and revolutions in fallen human society will inevitably continue as people pursue this absolute goal until the final achievement of the world of goodness. The standard of goodness will remain relative only as long as the course of restoration continues. Relative good and evil. You know, you're going to vote for one person, I'm going to vote for another person maybe. Maybe we vote for the same person. We listen to the news, we gather information, but nothing is really clear. And it really depends on your own life, your own nature. How serious do you take things? You know, do you just turn on a TV and someone says something and you believe it? Or, you know, are you a person who happens to have personal experience in one particular field, so you're able to know a little bit more, like Bernard understood very clearly? This is how the electrical system on that van works. You know, he understood, he happened to know, and he understood clearly, this is how this electrical system works. And it was great. Once the sovereignty of Satan is expelled from the earth, then God, the eternal and absolute being, transcendent of time and space, will establish his sovereignty and his truth. In that day, God's truth will be absolute, and hence the purpose which it serves and the standard of goodness which it sets will both be absolute. This cosmic, all-encompassing truth will be firmly established by Christ at his second advent. So, what is the truth? I mean, there's the truth concerning how the van works. There's truth concerning situations with your relationship with your children. Sometimes it's not easy to know, you know, when you're a parent, it's not easy to know what to do. You know, oh, should I do this, should I do that? And there's this, you know, we don't, there's such limitation. Our mind is so limited. Limited. You know, I'm a certain kind of person. I have a certain character. That's why I give service in this way. I have this certain relationship with true father and true mother, and that's why I present it this way. But you're different. You're different. Your life situation is completely different. So it's not simple, it's not easy. But the idea of Christ, the idea of who father and mother are, you know, why do I trust them? And even now, there's some complications. There's a little bit of confusion. Because it seems like, according to what I'm experiencing, I can't talk for you, but according to what I'm experiencing kind of conflicting information about concerning father's life and father's motivation and things that happened to him when he was young and blah, blah. Okay, that's fine. The most important thing is the fundamental purpose for which true parents came. And that is to liberate us from Satan. Two things. Get rid of Satan and teach us the truth about our lives. Why do I live on this earth? Before I die, what should I do? That's all. And true father and true mother, I believe with all my heart and all my soul and all my spirit, I believe they defeated Satan. Satan, Father is the only one that explained that Satan, this incredibly evil force that constantly, think about this. What if you wanted to practice some sport? You know, you join a team, and the entire team, you know, you're on a football team, the coach wants you to fulfill a certain role or a certain position on that team. And so the coach has, some kind of trainer come in to teach you. It's all great and it's all good, but what if that trainer, for some strange reason, what if the trainer hated you? What if the trainer actually didn't want you to succeed? He actually wanted you to fail. But he's never going to tell you that. So the trainer trains you in a certain way. And he convinces you that, this is the best thing to do. And then when you go out to play the game and you're in the middle of the game, you screw it up. What's wrong? What happened? Because there's someone that's sabotaging, that's pretending to be your friend, but he's not your friend. Pretending to know the truth, but he doesn't know the truth. Pretending to want what you want, but he doesn't want what you want. That was Satan. How difficult, if you fall off of a boat in the middle of the ocean, you want someone to throw you a life raft that floats, right? What if they throw you a brick? Or they throw you an iron bar instead? The story of the albatross hanging on the person's neck, right? That's Satan. Satan was always, whatever person tried to achieve toward goodness, to go toward God, Satan secretly, without people knowing it, was constantly destroying it. Father has exposed Satan. Father defeated Satan. Father and mother together, as true parents, got rid of Satan. Satan is an archangel named Lucifer. Lucifer is somewhere there in the spirit world. I have no idea where he is and what he's doing. But I believe, based on what true parents have taught us and what they did for 50 plus years, that Satan is no longer on this earth actively trying to destroy mankind. But ignorance is still here. Failure of our own human responsibility is still here. Unwillingness to recognize what the truth is still here. So, the principle of creation comes, but it's not really enough, because if we don't believe it's true, it doesn't matter. But true parents themselves established a certain standard, and through that certain standard that they established, it's very simple for us. Now we are blessed central families, and each of us is very unique and very different. And even inside our church, inside our movement, we are not going to completely understand or even believe the same things, because we are different. But as long as at the core, as long as at our core, we say, you know what? I don't know. I've got to do it this way because my heart, my soul, my spirit tells me this is the right direction. And if it's not, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to you, I'm sorry to God. But I can only do what I can do. This is my responsibility. And evil is when anyone comes up to you and denies you the opportunity to make those decisions for yourself. Be it a law that's put on some books, some police officer, some lawyer, some person on the street stealing your money, taking, for rape, whatever. That's evil, because it's taking away your responsibility in front of God. And it can be done out of ignorance. It can be done, not maliciously. I really, my mother and father, they begged me, please don't go there. Please don't join that movement, that cult. To this day, my mother expresses disdain and pain toward me because of that decision that I made. I'm sorry, Mom. But this is the way I've chosen to go. And if it's the right way, it's the right way. And if it's the wrong way, it's the wrong way. But it was the choice that I had to make. And I'll live with it. Yesterday I was on a phone call and we were having a discussion about some of these things, and there was a particular older sister that was telling me, what's going to happen to you, John, if you go to the spiritual world? And, I said, I'll stand in front of Father and say, I'm sorry. And she said, yeah, but I'm more concerned with how you affect everyone else's life. What about all these people that are listening to you? I say, hey, they don't have to listen to me. That's their responsibility. I'm gonna share from my heart, sincerely as I can, and that's it. And if I'm wrong, then people, fine, I'm wrong. It's great. I'll live with it. But this is the responsibility God gave me. This is the responsibility God gave us. So we decide. I decide. You decide. True parents are true parents. Nothing's ever going to change that. This is my favorite quote. Your destination is the eternal dwelling place of the true parents. Mother and I are not going to be the only true parents. My goal is to make all of you true parents. It is the greatest honor that I can give to you. In your own area and lineage, each of you is to become the true parents. And I believe that Father created tens of thousands of blessed central families who are in the position to be the true parents on our level, on our scale. And as long as, if we're true to ourselves, if we're sincere and serious, and we do our due diligence, then God will bless us. God will guide us. God will help us. I mean, God's in charge. God's in control ultimately. But He's incredibly patient. I mean, my God. But again, remember, going back to what I just talked about, when we think about life and death, when we face a very difficult situation in our life, we think, oh my God, if I make this mistake, someone's going to die. God doesn't look at it that way. Nobody has ever died to God. They've just moved from here to there. They go from here to there. And then whatever's going on there is going on there. Whatever's going on here is going on here. It's a completely frame of thinking. But it's difficult for us as human beings, with our limitations of time and space. And, this is the language I learned. This is the culture I grew up in. This is the way my father influenced me. This is the way my mother influenced me. These are the friends I hung out with when I was in high school. Smoked a lot of pot, got high, went to the concerts, blah, blah, blah. This is who I am. You're someone different. But the principles of creation, the truth of God, the reality of God, being the designer and creator of the universe, that hasn't changed. Okay, that's it. Let me pray. Our Heavenly Parent God, so much information actually. You are our eternal parent. And we are your sons and daughters. And some of us have come closer to growing up and reaching our potential as a son or daughter than others. Some people are still very far away. Some people don't even believe you exist. And even those of us that believe you exist, what is the nature of our relationship with you really? I mean, I wrestle with it all the time. I mean, what should I really be thinking? What should I really be feeling? How much am I responsible for what other people do? I love people, I think. I try to love my wife. I try to love my children. I certainly try to love you and Mother and everyone. I don't know. Maybe I'm on the right path, maybe I'm not. But I know that we have an eternal existence, that we are destined to leave this earthly life behind someday and enter our eternal life into the spiritual world. And until that time, I'll try to do better. I'll just try to do better. Thank you for all you've given to us. And if in fact we cause you any pain or difficulty because of our ignorance, I'm sorry. Please don't hold it against us. Don't hold it against me. Well, hold it against me if you have to. I don't know. It's up to you. Anyway, thank you. Appreciate this. And on Father's Day, I'm so grateful. So grateful that I met True Father. So grateful that I met him when I was 19 years old. And that I had this opportunity. This opportunity to stay with him and to stay with True Mother and to stay with them all these years and to watch this providence unfold. Sometimes I screwed it up because I'm such a selfish son of a bitch. But sometimes I really think I got it right. I was really good. We really had some good experiences. Amazing. I'm grateful for those. Please accept us. And whatever the situation may be out there, you're out there. We're not out there. You're out there. You're the one. You're in the mind and the heart of every person. Anyway, thank you. More than anything else, I just feel grateful to you. So grateful. So grateful. Thank you. We offer our prayers and we report our lives to you every day. In our names as Blessed Central Families, in my name, John Gates, as Sarah Gates, Blessed Central Family. Amen. Aju.